What's up everyone, welcome to Workshop Rebuild. If you are new to my channel, this is where I take apart, clean and reassemble machines to make them fully functional again. Right behind me here is a BMW R60/5 motorcycle, and this right here will be my brand new project. I've worked on numerous off-road vehicles in the past, and now I'll be able to work on my first on-road vehicle and share with you guys my process. Before I talk about this motorcycle specifically, I will give you guys a little history lesson on BMW motorcycles. So back in 1921, BMW started a different sector in their production, which was BMW motorcycles. In 1923, BMW brought out their first motorcycle, and that was the BMW R32. Fun fact of the day, if you owned a motorcycle in Germany around 1925 that was under 250 cc's, you are exempt of having a driver's license. Back in the day, BMW was very popular for their single-cylinder air-cooled engines, but as time went on, people wanted to drive a little bit faster and get to places a little bit faster, so BMW added a second cylinder, and that's how the Boxer engine came to life. BMW was gaining popularity for their motorcycles within Germany, but as World War II came around the corner, BMW was contracted to make machinery and aircrafts for the war. After the war passed, BMW had some of the biggest factories within Germany. They still had all their setups, all their machinery, and all their tooling within these factories. BMW then cleaned up everything and made sure they could produce motorcycles and cars for the public. In the late 60s, BMW started to design this motorcycle right here. This is a R60/5. This motorcycle right here specifically is 600 cc's. That's why the name R60 stands for 600 cc's. They also made a model which is an R50 and an R75. Those are 500 and 750 cc's each. Before the production of this motorcycle happened, which was in 1969, BMW took the motorcycle sector from Munich and they transferred it all the way up to Berlin. From 1969 to 1970, BMW produced just over 12,000 examples of the /5 model. And then from 1969 to 1973, that's when production stopped on this series. BMW produced just under 69,000 examples. BMW ended production on the /5 models in 1973, but just 3 years later, which is 1976, BMW celebrated their 500,000th model which they produced ever for any BMW motorcycle. From 1976 up until today, BMW still produced a whole bunch of air-cooled engines. Their main engine was based on this 2-cylinder Boxer engine, and they're still known for that today. But in today's world, they do make liquid-cooled engines, which is the new norm. So I won't get into too much detail on that. I will break the history right here because I will focus on this motorcycle right here. I shared with you guys a bunch of information on BMW's motorcycle history, but right now let's focus on the R60/5, which is right behind me. A couple weeks ago, I picked up this vintage BMW motorcycle, and many of you guys know I worked on classic garden tractors or tractors in general. Those are all off-road vehicles, and I haven't shared with you guys an on-road vehicle yet. So I thought it would be really interesting to test my skills, but also share with you guys how I work on an on-road vehicle. So right now, I'll give you guys a walk around on the BMW motorcycle. Once I'm done with the walk around, I'll share with you guys my plans. Walking up to the BMW R60/5, you guys will right away notice it has a front fairing and also 2 luggage bags in the back. These are hard cases, but I will focus on the fairing right away. This is a little eyesore for modern day enthusiasts because this was a little bit more popular back in the day. I do plan on taking this off so the bike looks a little bit more sporty and also keeps it a little bit more classy. But looking at this fairing right off the bat, it is by the make Vetter. This is an aftermarket brand. Even though it's an American brand, that name is very German. And Windjammer is also very German. I did some research on this fairing right here. This was very popular back in the day. They made 150,000 examples of this fairing right here, and you could mount this on basically any motorcycle. This is series number 3, but they had number 2 and number 1 as well, and other models specifically. But this is a series number 3, and I think if I would take this off, it would look way more classy. But then moving on to the back, we have these 2 luggage bags. These are hard cases. They have damage all over them, and I think the bike would also look better without them. This one doesn't even have a cover on the right side, but as you guys can see, they just pop off right here with these pins, and they would actually come off. But I think I will be removing them very soon. Since I talked about both accessories on the front and on the back, I will focus on the motorcycle in general. The color of this motorcycle is called by the BMW enthusiasts Curry. So this is the original color of this motorcycle right here. As you guys will see, this right here is the color. This is all faded and worn right here. And then we also have two pinstripes on either side of the fuel tank, which give a nice little accent. Right here will be a knee pad. So when you sit right here on the seat, your knees will come up against the tank, and there are plastic inserts for this section right here. That's why they have these little cutouts, but these cutouts right here are also to strengthen the fuel tank a little bit. The BMW logo is bolted on with 2 bolts right here. Then when I walk back a little bit, you guys will also see the same color on the front fender and on the rear fender as well. So there are 3 pieces which will be colored curry eventually. If you guys find this video helpful, please hit that like button down below. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. And without further ado, let's get back to the video. Looking at the motorcycle from the top, you guys will see this seat has been modified, especially on the front area, to make it a little bit lower. And on the back, it's kind of lifted up, but also pushed forward. So it is totally modified. I think somebody just took this and bent out the rods inside the seat. The seat should not be like this. It would actually just be like one little bench. And then you guys will also see some faded area right here, or actually still original paint. So the seat was actually up against the fuel tank originally, but somebody just bent those 2 rods and made the seat a little bit more wider, so maybe they're a little bit closer to the ground. I will be replacing the seat right off the bat because I don't think it's a nice seat, but I also have seen some seats online which are very, very nice. So I shared with you guys some of the visual aspects on this BMW R60, and now I'll share with you guys some technical information. Walking up to this motorcycle, the first thing that you'll notice are those huge cylinders right down there. So this is an air-cooled engine. The cylinders have to be huge. The cylinder heads are even bigger, and the valve covers are also relatively big. When we look at it from the top, you guys will notice the cylinder head is in this area right here where the spark plug is, and then the valve cover also has some cooling ribs on it, and they're placed right there. Looking at it from the top once again, you guys will notice that the cylinders are offset, so the left one is a little bit more forward and the right one is a little bit further back. Since we have 2 cylinders on either side of the bike, BMW decided to go with 2 carburetors, and this carburetor right here is a Bing carburetor. On the /5 models, the Bing carburetor was very common, and this is a slide carburetor. We do not have a butterfly within this or even a vacuum carburetor. This is a slide carburetor. So what that means is when I pull on the throttle, there is a little plate inside, and that pulls up to let the air and fuel mixture pass through into the cylinder. Once I take this off, you guys will have a better understanding of this carburetor. Since I'm already up close on the engine, I covered the cylinder and the carburetor. We have the intake manifold, which is plastic, which goes from the carburetor into our air filter box. This right here is the air filter box. It cuts off right here and down below right there. Now up above where you guys will see the BMW R60/5 plaque, this is a housing, and this does not belong to the engine. The engine only goes all the way up to this line right here. This right here is our oil dipstick, so I could check my oil right there. We have our alternator up above and our starter as well. On the front end of this engine, that cuts off right here, we will have our points down below in this area right here. But behind the engine, we have one more part which is also merged to the engine. We have our transmission. The transmission cuts off vertically like this and horizontally right here. This is our 4-speed transmission. The linkage for our transmission comes out to the left. So this is the left side of the motorcycle, and most motorcycles have the shift lever on the left. Some older models do have it on the right, but the left side is very common. This transmission also has a kickstart, so that is this right here. This is featured with a kickstart. That is very popular on the /5 models, but on the /6 models, which are newer models, they have a 5-speed transmission, and some of them don't even have the kickstart. So I was on the left side of the motorcycle. Now we'll move on to the right side. You guys will see the same setup. We have the cylinder, we have the carburetor intake, the air filter box, and down below right here in this area, we have our rear brake. So this right here is our rear brake, and off behind the transmission, we have this rubber boot, which then leads into our drive shaft. This drive shaft will power our rear wheel, and this will allow us to move the motorcycle. Beside the mechanical side of things on this BMW, we still have the front to look at and the rear of this motorcycle. On the front, we have a telescoping fork. These two rubber boots cover the travel on our fork, but these rubber boots will also keep everything clean. They are still in very good condition, and this travel is actually quite big on this motorcycle, so that will allow for a comfortable ride. On the front, to the front forks, we still have a front fender. This is made of fiberglass, and I have a little bit of repair to do up front. On the wheel side of things, we have a rim, we have spokes. This is something from the past. Some manufacturers still use spokes. Many have turned away from this, but I think it's a very classic feature, and they work just as well as any other cast rim. Towards the center of the wheel, we have our hub. Within this hub, we have our drum brakes. The /5 motorcycles had drum brakes on the front and on the rear of this motorcycle. /6 started to have a single disc up front and also a dual disc for better stopping power with a stronger horsepower machine. On the front, we are running a 19-inch rim, and on the back, we are running an 18-inch rim. On the back, we have a similar setup. We have our rear fender right here. On the left and on the right, we have one shock. And then we are running an 18-inch rim with a similar hub like the one up front with spokes leading to the rim. But within this rim, we also have our drive mechanism, which is on the right side of this motorcycle. You guys will see it right down here. Our drive shaft comes in and also transfers power to our hub in the back. I shared with you guys some information on BMW's motorcycle history, and I shared with you guys a walk around of this motorcycle right here. But now I'll bring you guys to the table onto the left of the screen. I'll share with you guys what I got with this motorcycle. On this bench, I have a bunch of parts laid out, tools, and also some manuals, which I received with this BMW motorcycle. Off to the left, these are the side covers for the fuel tank, which I mentioned before. They will go right there. These will be glued on once the paintwork is nice and clean again. This right here is a battery cover. I only have one, so I still have to find another one. And this right here is a little tray which goes under the seat. I'm not sure if this is just for tools, but this is a little storage compartment. Off to the right, I have a bunch of tools which are very cool. These were made in West Germany. As you guys know, back in the day, it was West and East Germany, and most of the tools came from West Germany. I found a Kawasaki wrench. These pliers are actually also BMW, so a lot of these tools came with the motorcycle, and these are original to the motorcycle, which I have behind me. Now up above, I have some carburetor bowls. I'm not sure if these are good or bad. I have to check the carburetors, but I will be checking that in an upcoming video. Right here, I have some O-rings. Right here, this is actually really cool. This is a tire kit, repair kit right here. And as you guys know, this is vulcanized rubber. It says right there, vulcanized. But this little box right here also comes from West Germany. So I'm not sure if that's original, but if you guys do know, leave a comment down below. Right here, we have a couple fuses. These are super old fuses. I'm not sure if this is for the fairing somewhere, but these fuses right here are super old, and they look just like those gum packages from back in the day, and I thought that was super cool. And just various tools. I do not have the tool kit. I'm not sure if it came with one, but I will have to look through these manuals a little bit better. I do have an on-the-road Chilton's BMW motorcycle book. So this is really cool. This goes into full depth on basically everything right here, how to knock in a seal, your timing, and everything about your engine. So this covers basically everything. I think I could restore the whole engine or rebuild the whole engine with this right here. This is good for R50 motorcycles all the way up to R75/5 for 1972 models or through 1972 models. So that's very cool right there. That's like a little handbook. Right here we have original service stations overseas. So these are just maps and overseas stations which you could service your BMW at if you would go overseas. Right here I have a workshop manual for R60, 50 and 75/5s. So this is an original service manual by BMW. So this right here and this right here is basically the same thing, but this is just by BMW. The outside isn't in good condition, but all the pages seem to be just fine. Now right here, this is really cool. We have the original BMW parts book. If you guys know a little bit of German, original BMW parts, Teile are parts. So this right here is very cool. We have a whole bunch of electrical schematics, but putting that aside, we have here a bunch of tabs. We have the engine, the clutch, the front forks, brakes, basically everything is in here. If you guys would order parts, you could come in here and basically order everything with the specific part number. So this is very valuable to me. It doesn't just show the parts, but it also shows the assembly process in expanded views. Just like that, you guys will see the timing chain and the camshaft. So everything is in here. So I will be probably referring to a lot of this right here when I start to rebuild this motorcycle. So yes, you guys just heard that right. I did mention I will use those manuals to rebuild most of this motorcycle. You guys can see the condition of this motorcycle right now, but I will be tearing into it very soon. When I purchased this, it was started up for just a couple seconds, but it doesn't run very good. It does run, but it will need some work on the carburetors. But you guys know how that goes. The carburetors then are perfect, but maybe the engine doesn't work. Maybe the timing is a little bit off, and so on. So I will be working on a lot of things around the drivetrain, but also the cosmetics. The fuel tank doesn't look very good. I really don't like this fairing up front. I will be removing these luggage bags in the back. So I will be working on a bunch of aspects on this BMW R60/5. You guys are probably wondering what my plans are for this motorcycle right here. You guys probably know from previous videos, I take everything apart, I look at everything, I make it mechanically sound, and I also take care of the cosmetics to make it look like new again. I got a whole bunch of ideas online. A lot of people take these motorcycles right here, turn them into cafe racers. So what that means is they change the front forks, put on bigger forks, they add disc brakes up front, they take the two seats, turn it into one seat, and they put bigger shock absorbers in the back, and then they make everything look cosmetically good. I personally think that's not the way to do this. That's just my personal opinion, but I'd like to keep this classic because I think it will stand the test of time if I keep it as a classic motorcycle. Since I want to keep this motorcycle original and or bring it back to its originality, I have to remove some parts right here, and I also have to add some parts which are missing on this motorcycle. It's not really hard to find these old BMW motorcycle parts, but they're not very cheap either. So I'm gonna have to see what I can fix in-house or in the workshop, and whatever I'm missing, I still have to purchase. So those things might take a little bit longer, but I can really get to work on this motorcycle right here and start tearing it down very soon. In my previous videos, I've dismantled everything down to the frame, and for this motorcycle right here, I will be doing the exact same thing. I will focus on sub-assemblies, so this video series will be split up in sub-assemblies. So we will focus on the fuel tank, we will focus on the rear end, I will focus on the transmission and the engine and even the front end. So that's how I will split this series up. Once all the sub-assemblies are rebuilt, I will focus on the assembly process of this motorcycle right here. Hopefully in the end, it'll run, drive, and look just like an original motorcycle that came out of the BMW factory. This video is coming to an end, but I wanted to give you guys a good insight on the BMW R60/5 motorcycle that I will be working on. This is the first motorcycle I will be featuring on Workshop Rebuild. It'll be a huge lesson for me to work on a motorcycle and also share this process with you guys. So if you guys are interested in this project, please hit that thumbs up down below, and don't forget to subscribe because then you'll be one of the first to see my new videos on this BMW project.